All right. Well, I'm missing my little knocker, but hello. Let's get started. Today is, I want to call to order the Town Council meeting at 6 o'clock, Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, here in the Yucca Valley Community Center. Thank you for attending. Let's do a roll call.
Council members Abel.
Here.
Dennison.
Here.
Droz.
Here.
Schooler.
Here.
And Mayor Lombardo.
Here. Let's rise and have the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a invocation at the end of the pledge, so please stay standing. And let's get that started.
Please join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Remain standing. And we have Pastor Thomas from, I lost it here. First Community, is it? I'm sorry.
No one cares anyway, but it's
Oh, we all care.
First Christian Church of Yucca Valley.
Okay, thank you.
Let's pray. Dear God, Lord, thank you for this evening and this time we have to look at our town, to make decisions that are best for the people that live here, Lord. I thank you for those that serve this town. May you bless them and guide them. May they make decisions that help grow us, that help meet our needs. Lord, may you just be here. And I pray for those who call on you in this town to be your voice and be examples of Jesus to everyone from all places. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Thank you very much. All righty. So today we have some presentations. We have a proclamation for the school board month. Is there a representative from the Morongo Basin School District? Please come up front and let me give you this here. Hey, that is for you guys, and it's going to give a little summary here. Thank you. Whereas the school board plays a crucial role in promoting student learning and achievement by creating a vision, establishing policies and budgets, and setting clear standards of accountability for all involved. And whereas Copper Mountain College, Morongo Unified School District, support the Town of Yucca Valley Town Council's overarching mission to ensure a safe and secure environment while maintaining the highest quality of life for its residents. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor of the Town of Yucca Valley, California, that the Yucca Valley Town Council recognizes January 2024 as School Board Appreciation Month, and thanks to the local public, private, and parochial school boards and private volunteer oversight committees for their commitment to the betterment of our community. And it's presented this 16th day of January 2024. Thank you very much for all your involvement, and please take a moment and say something about your involvement with the board district. Can you use this?
Can I use this? Okay. Most of you probably don't know who I am, but I've been on the board for about a year. I grew up here in the town. Went to Yucca L, Josh Tree L, all 6 years at Yucca High because we didn't have lock antenna. That's how old I am. So, and really felt I wanted to get involved in the community, and been really involved with soccer. I've been on the Boys and Girls Club board. I've been very involved with youth programs, and I thought this would be the next step, was to get on the school board, and look forward to any feedback that the public has, and we'll see what we can do to help you out. Thank you very much.
And it's great to see you all again, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you. righty. It's always nice to take time to recognize those that contribute so greatly to the community, and the school board is definitely one of those. Thank you so much for all your efforts. Let's have the approval of the agenda.
Mayor, I would be remiss if I didn't relay to you that you heard from Copper Mountain College as well today. They couldn't be here this evening, but we're very appreciative of the mayor and the council for recognizing the activity of the board.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very interested in what goes on at the Copper Mountain College, and I think it has a great impact here in Yucca Valley.
Mayor, if it pleases the board, I will approve tonight's agenda.
Great.
Dennison will second.
All right, we have approval in a second.
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Droz.
Yes.
Schooler.
Yes.
And Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All right. Items on the consent agenda here. Let's see. All items listed on the consent agenda are routine matters of formal documents covering previous town council instruction. Items are enacted by one motion, a second without separate discussion unless a member of the town council or the town staff requests dialogue on a specific item at the beginning of the meeting. Requests for public comment on the consent agenda should be filed with the town clerk if there's anybody that wants to comment on that. So is there anybody that wants to comment on the consent agenda? Anybody in the public? Anybody online? Anybody on the council?
Mayor, if there's no questions from the council, I'd like to move the item, consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Who was the second?
Schooler.
Oh, Schooler. Okay.
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Droz.
Yes.
Schooler.
Yes.
And Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All righty. So moving on, that was items 2 through 13. And we are on to the public hearing. Item number 14, it's a continuation of a past discussion. The environmental assessment, EA 13-23 Development Code Amendment, DCA 0321, temporary special events in single-family residential zoning districts. Planning Commission recommendation to the Town Council, amendments to the section 9.38.020 of chapter 9.38 of Article 7, temporary special events of Title 9 Yucca Valley Development Code. Go ahead and let us hear about it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Apologies for that title. The recommendation for this item is that the Town Council finds that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act and that the Town Council adopts ordinance number 307. This item has been reviewed a number of times to this point, about half a dozen times before. Last we heard was December 5th, 2023, when it was presented with some minor changes. So I'm just going to kind of go through the changes that we've made to the table and to the policy. So this is a special events table that we currently have in the code. We had the temporary events added to this table. The new formatting for the table didn't quite work, so we deleted the temporary special events from the existing table and moved it into its own standalone table that will go underneath the existing table. And then, so classes 2, 3, and 4 are substantially the same as what you'd previously seen. Class 1 has been added, this one at the top, which is intended for smaller occupancy events. You see the maximum guest is 20. And for temporary short-term vacation rentals, they are exempt as long as they do not exceed the occupancy limits from their temporary short-term vacation rental. Otherwise, the table and criteria is substantially similar from the last time we spoke. These first few items are mostly cleanup and clarification, renumbering, etc. Once we get down here, we clarify what each class means and how those classes are noticed. So Class 1 does not require public notice. Class 2, you're notifying just the neighboring properties within 300 feet. Classes 3 and 4 require public notices, public hearing notices. And then lastly, we explain how the revocation process works if need be. So the recommendation is as previously read into the record, and we're happy to answer any questions following public hearing.
Just in summary, if there's any chance that someone is watching or attending this evening that doesn't have the background, current regulations prohibit special events in residential zones. The town council asked for the planning commission to review the matter and bring forward a recommendation regarding special events in residential zones. The commission held those hearings. Town council held its first hearing in December, asked for changes. Those changes have been presented to the council this evening. There are essentially 4 classes. Those classes ensure that based upon the size of the event, there is appropriate notice, either to the neighborhood or to the community at large. Those noticing requirements are included within the ordinance. The Planning Commission is the review authority for the 2 more intensive classes. That's Class 3 and Class 4. Staff is the review authority for the lower level activity classes. That's Class 1 and Class 2. The title of the ordinance was read at your first public hearing, so that has been accommodated, and the recommendation for the CEQA language is on record. That concludes the staff's comments. Be happy to answer questions following the public hearing.
Okay. So we'll open public comment. Is there anybody in the public that would wish to comment on this item?
Mayor, we have a request to speak by Vicki French, followed by Peggy Schroeder.
Please come forward, state your name and city of residence.
I'm Vicki French, and Pioneer Town is
Make sure
where
it's
our
on.
home is. I'm the owner of Tumbleweed Sanctuary, and I'm very happy to be here tonight. I appreciate the time and effort the Planning Commission and Town Council have put into the major change of the development code. There's something very reassuring about seeing the process work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, was there somebody else? Yes.
I have to bend it over.
Yeah.
My name is Peggy Schroeder. I live in Pioneer Town. Mainly, I just wanted to thank the Lord for answering my prayers through this process, and I wanted to thank you guys. I know we didn't get off to a really good start. We didn't know the process or the pathway. I just want to thank everybody. I hope that any wrongs that were made are forgiven and that we have a good relationship working through the conditional use permit. And I'm glad everybody got to meet Vicki. I know in the beginning, she was so worried about, we weren't following code. She would never have moved forward or continued if she knew she was not following code or regulations. She's just that type of person. She's very generous, giving, and we're all here supporting her because we're happy to be employed by her. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody online? All right, then back to the council. Is there any council members that need clarification or questions answered? Speak. Councilman Schooler.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge and thank staff and the Planning Commission for all of the work. This is not one of those easy fixes, and when it first came up, it just seemed like an issue that was so hard to wrap our arms around, at least for me. And the thank the public for their patience and participation in this, but I kind of like what I'm seeing now as an end result. I think this kind of accommodates our needs, and I like the flexibility that it gives to the Planning Commission. I think that's important in our community to have that flexibility. We have so many different kinds of properties around it. I think that's important. So this new matrix is easier to understand. It's simplified. One thing that I would like to either get clarification or consideration for, and that's the only rub that I have with it personally, is the duration of a low-impact event. If that's a wellness retreat or writing workshop or something like that. These are low-impact events, but I kind of think if people are coming to town for like a yoga retreat or something, and they come on a Friday, they're there Saturday, and leave on Sunday, that's 3 days technically, if I'm correct. So I would think that they would come on a Friday and want to stay through a Sunday, or the organizers might have that in mind. So personally, I would prefer to see it 3 days in duration with a 4-day gap in between, just for that reason, just because I think weekend events like that, to require people to come in on Friday and leave on Saturday, that counts as 2 days. Am I correct on that? That counts as 2 days? Yeah. So it just seems like since they're low impact and that their permit is subject to revocation anyway, and it just kind of seems like it would make a little more sense to accommodate people that way. So I'd like to hear some other comments on that. I think, again, the permits can be revoked. So when they get up to these maximums, that looks like a lot of maximums at 50 and 39 events in a year. But if there's complaints and if they're just causing a disturbance, their permit can be revoked. They'll never get even close to those numbers. So if they're a problem, it won't continue on. So that's kind of built in. I like the class 1 being added in there for the low impact events. I think that makes a lot of sense. I like staff review on the lower classes. And I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that means that the permit process would be expedited and a little more user-friendly than going through Planning Commission. So I like that. Permits are good for 3 years. My question, are they transferable? Do they run with the property? Or if the property was to change hands, the new owner would have to apply for a permit, is that correct?
Only the class 4 would run with the property, so that's the one that requires a CUP. The other ones, I would have to reapply.
Okay, thank you. So that's my comments. Again, the duration of the low impact class 1 events, I don't know, just my preference. I would like to see us accommodate a full weekend. That concludes my comments.
Before we go forward on that, other council members, do you have any input on the 3-day instead of the 2-day for the?
Yeah, Mayor, I was going to comment. I would agree. First of all, I want to thank the town council for, you could have easily passed this the last meeting, and you heard my concerns that I felt like another category was needed for low impact, and I appreciate it. You didn't push it through. You took a little bit more time. Staff was able to look at it a little closer. I'm much, much more comfortable with this. As you know, we need to protect our residents. We need to protect our environment. And what Yucca Valley is about. These do have generous numbers, so it'll be really interesting in 6 months or whatever to get a report on how many people have actually even pulled or had an event. It may be very much a moot point, but I do like to have the numbers that I see in front of us. Under item E, where it says standards and temporary single family special events, item 3 talks about all events are subject to a 2-day maximum time limit and a minimum of 5 days between. Yeah, I would agree with Councilmember Schooler that perhaps Because even larger events, Friday arrival and things like that, I would think that 3-day maximum time limit and 4 days between events would be acceptable, because then people aren't trying to skirt around the rules or worried about getting in trouble. Let's just make it to where it's very clear that they have the 3-day weekend, or they have the 3 days in which to have an event. People can arrive early to the event, and also adjusting the 4 days in between. So I would definitely support that. I do appreciate, again, staff's hard work in the Planning Commission as well, and I'd be able to support this fully with that minor changes.
Okay. Still on that 3-day, 4-day in between. Go ahead, give us your opinion.
I have a question,
Mayor Pro Tem.
actually. Maximum number of events per year is 50. So taking those 3 days, does that change the number of events? Because I just added it up. That's 16 events. If they did 3 days, however many weekends, it would be 16 weekends a year. So are we still leaving the maximum number of events per year at 50, but raising it to 3 days?
I would think you have a writer's workshop. It's a 2-day event. It's one event, but I don't know if they're counting those each day as part of that. No, so it's just per event. So if you book
okay.
one 3-day weekend workshop, it
That's
counts as one event.
Okay,
Every weekend with 2 weekends off, basically.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a maximum. Do you have input on that, Councilman?
Yeah, and I travel quite a bit, so I understand of getting to places early, and that's always my thing. I'm always early, sometimes days early. But when you travel, you would check in on a Friday, stay Saturday, Sunday, and then probably leave in the morning. That's pretty typical. I think something into the term of possibly not to exceed 3 days would help with that and keep it tight, that they didn't bleed off on the front end or the back end of that time frame. The other one seems pretty generous at 50 events. So that would be, I mean, we're only like as far as week events, we're like 2 weeks away from a whole year. So I'm trying to figure the point of putting that in there on the weeks. So instead of having 52 weeks, that we had 50 weeks. Was there a point of a breadth in that time cycle?
Yeah, I think it's just so it's not every single week for those land uses.
This is residential area, right?
Yeah, I have no concerns. I was just looking at it because I think it would be hard for most people to even identify 50 weeks of operation versus the entire year. It could lead to, it just seems like that's a slippery slope to actually follow and monitor somehow on our end to do that. But I'm good with the design right now, but I do feel the comments made by the other council members is appropriate too, but I like to say not to exceed, or a 3-day maximum, but to make sure that it's not, exceeding that point. That's my only comment.
Question. If we were to, because it seems pretty unanimous, or definitely a majority, changing to a 3-day with 4 days in between. If we make that change, does that mean we have to continue for another time, or we can make those changes now and have it adopted that way?
The council can include amendments this evening in the introduction of the code. Those changes will be incorporated into second reading and come back in the typical process. Staff would like to clarify one thing. I thought I understood Councilmember Schooler when he started this conversation was focused on Class 1.
Correct.
For those changes, some of the conversation that I heard was all of the categories?
Yeah,
Or is this all?
Yeah, he was talking.
Class
yeah,
1.
I was stating it should probably just be across the board because there's other events, 3 days.
So we want to make,
Just change it in items.
so I think, want to make sure what the council direct, is it for all classes?
Let me get
It's the 3 and 4?
All those in favor of being for all classes,
Yeah.
3 days?
Yeah, Mayor, my thing is to keep it somewhat they really clarified with the flow and to make sure that those windows are all the same throughout the policy.
Okay.
And not bouncing from one to the other.
Okay, so you're saying all categories? How about you, Mayor Pro Tem Droz?
Yeah, this is hard to digest really quickly here, but my first thought is just class one, because the bigger events are bigger and they have more impact. So I think the low impact events being 3 days is not such a big deal. So unless we have more time to think about it and research it, I think just class one at this point.
Okay, so Council Member Abel, would you agree that one is definitely a go?
Well, definitely,
Do you have any hesitancy on the other class?
no, I understand Councilmember Drode's concern and so forth. I'm also wondering on the CUP category, that's going to be a totally different CUP process because they might be able to do a 3-day event and so forth?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that would be brought up in the discussion at
Yeah.
the CUP, okay. So,
And Mayor, my thought on that right there is, in the CUP and in Class 4, that's a different model in that there's only 39 opportunities to have events in that one. And in the previous, in Class 3, you're looking at 26, which is just about half of what we're talking about in Class 1. So I think the fewer opportunities to have events helps balance it out well. The fewer events seem to have larger attendance allowed by the maximum number of guests, as opposed to the Class 1 and being a little more flexible on a smaller area. So I can see that they're moving down in the days where it could be, and they're not all 50 days.
okay, but still I'm trying to get a handle on whether we all agree of the concept of a 3-day weekend kind of thing, you know, coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the events. Class 4 events are more adjudicated. They're looked at more closely, and they require more in-depth approval, right? Class 1 and let's see, Class 1 and 2 are more staff level, right? So would we agree that a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event is appropriate for a Class 2 and 3, Class 1 and 2, because they're staff level decisions and they're smaller, less impactful? I'm just trying to figure out at what point do we want to break it from a 3-day?
You know, historically, I don't think we've had a whole lot of issues where people have been way out of line on community or events at their houses.
Right.
I don't think we've heard a lot of complaints. This is not, something that's a big issue in the town. So I'm okay with the 3 days across the board. If the Planning Commission wants to adjust that when they're doing their review, they can do that.
And can we agree maybe to revisit this idea in 6 months or a year and see if modification is needed? Make it a little bit more usable right now and see if it needs to be modified? Is it going to be a problem in the future?
Well, I think staff would definitely let us know if there was a problem with this and that we would want it brought back and readjust. We could do it any time. If a problem arises, if there's not a problem that arises, really not any point in looking at it.
Right.
So I think we just, we move the item forward with the modifications that we spoke about. And then again, if all of a sudden we're starting to hear there's issues, then we can definitely bring it back, and this can be modified at any time. It doesn't have a sunset period or a certain amount of time. But I do like that we've made the adjustments. I think it's flexible, but it also protects our residents.
Yeah,
so I would say that we're really pretty much where we should be on this, and I do think that some modification of the 3 days needs to be done. Just again, for people coming and going. And again, I would say that the Planning Commission and the Planning Commission for sure and staff, if there's a questionable event that they're wanting to do a 3-day something, they don't have to give the permit for 3 days. It just says that would be a maximum amount of time. They say, well, with your type of event, we feel good for a 1-day permit, not a 2 or 3 day. But they have that ability to.
They have that flexibility.
Yeah, it's just a maximum number. It's not they're entitled to.
Okay.
So I like Councilmember Schooler's suggestion that we amend, my suggestion, I guess, on amending item 3 to a 3-day maximum with 4 days between events. And I make a motion that we approve that with that slight modification.
On what class items?
All items,
class.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Are we kind of in agreement on that?
I'm not actually. I just think we need to be ahead of the curve. Even though we haven't had problems with that, that doesn't mean we won't once we approve it.
No.
So I think just maybe go slow, and I think maybe Class 1 and Class 2. I mean, like I said, I haven't had time to digest this, so maybe it should go back to the Planning Commission or keep it
No,
small.
I'll amend my motion to include all 3 days maximum and 4 days in between for only classes 1 and 2.
Perfect.
I'll second that.
Okay, can we all agree on that? Or, I mean,
Yep, we have a
yes,
motion second.
yes? Okay, so let's make a motion in a second.
We got it.
Okay,
Council members Abel,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
yes. Thank you, everybody. I think that was a good compromise. All righty. So now we're on to department reports. High Desert Nature Museum, update and employee introductions. We have some great new people coming on board. So.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the High Desert Nature Museum update and employee introductions, and to present the report is our museum supervisor, Celeste Hildebrand. Welcome, Celeste.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here tonight. 2023 was a year of transition at the museum. I was brought on at the end of August as the supervisor, and so over the last 4 months, we've had an opportunity to fill 2 full-time coordinator positions at the museum. We've been very busy during the last 4 months, so with those 2 openings, we continued to be open to the public. We've made some museum improvements, created a new exhibit, as well as provided our events that are extremely popular to the public. So it's been a very busy 4 months. So for staffing changes, the first employee I want to introduce is Charlie Rosso. So Charlie, come on up. Charlie was hired as our collections and exhibit coordinator. He's actually not a new face to the museum. He started 6 years ago as a volunteer for 1 year, and then he's been the museum assistant for the last 5 years. Prior to moving to the Morongo Basin, he actually worked for 20 years at the Getty in Los Angeles in their collections department. He also, during that time, did contract collection work at places like Scotty's Castle in Death Valley, as well as the Palm Springs Art Museum. So here's Charlie, and he's going to give you just a brief update on some of our upcoming exhibits that we have.
Hi, it's good to see you all again. We had an opening last week, and I saw some familiar faces. It's good to see you all again. Our current show is Abandoned Planes, Trains, and Automobiles of the Mojave Desert. It's a local artist who spoke last week to an audience of about 50 people, and we believe we had about 100 people in attendance to see that exhibit. So if you haven't had a chance to see that yet, hopefully we'll be able to see you soon. Coming up in the spring will be a show on From Here to There. It will describe kind of the world of physics through the use of transportation. So people will be able to understand better how friction and air pressure and things like that work by being able to understand like how their automobiles work. And Zach has some programming concerning that, which he'll be able to tell you about as well.
Good.
All right, so next up, we have our Museum Education and Engagement Coordinator, and that's Zachary Fleming Boyles. So Zach, come on up. So Zach received his education in art practice from the University of California at Berkeley. He then worked for 8 years at the Palm Springs Art Museum in their education department. And for the last 3 years before coming to us, he worked for the CREATE Center for the Arts, teaching art practice to youth in the Coachella Valley. So here is Zach.
Very cool. All right. Well, it's an honor to be working for the High Desert Nature Museum. And so I'd just talk a little bit about what we have planned for the spring and summer. So starting off the year, we do have 2 STEM workshops for kids scheduled in January and February. Then in the spring, we have 3 special events for all ages, an Earth Day art trading card workshop in April, Cultural Wild West Pioneer Day in May, and a Family Fun Day in June focusing on our summer exhibition. Also in the summer, we have doubled our summer camps from 2 sessions to 4, and we will also be offering our Summer Discovery Kit in August. We will be concluding our summer programming by focusing on our Geology Spotlight exhibition with a paint night using natural earth pigments, followed by a lecture on the geology of the Mojave Desert. So really excited for what we have in store. So, thank you.
Sounds awesome.
All right, so as Zach mentioned, we do have a new geology micro exhibit up. Some of you have been in and have seen it. We basically reorganized our geology collection that's currently on display. We added 15 new interpretive labels, 4 educational panels that really focus and highlight 4 different geology topics that are relevant to the Morongo Basin. Museum staff also contracted and worked with 2 local photographers, Mitch Miller, who does beautiful landscapes, and then Kevin Powell, who also does landscapes, but we worked with him on his animal photography. So we now have new postcards in the museum. We had our previous ones for about 15 to 20 years, so we're really excited to get some new ones up, and the public is actually very excited when they see those as well. During the last 4 months, the museum's been extremely busy. During our August through October time, we hosted Her Side of the Story, which was Tales from Pioneering Women. During that 7-week stretch, we had over 1,700 visitors in the museum. And then from October to December, for that 8-week period, we had From Earthquakes to Epidemics. During that period, we had 2,700 visitors come into the museum. We also had 2 community events during that time period, which kind of boosted those numbers. The museum with the recreation department planned and implemented the Spooktacular event, which was a huge success. And then we also participated in the community holiday event where we had Santa in the museum. We also had a holiday activity for people to do. So we had about 600 to 650 visitors each day for both of those events. So looking into the future, this is going to be a big year for the museum. This is the 60th anniversary of the establishment of the High Desert Nature Museum. So staff is already planning exhibits, events, and programming that celebrate that anniversary. It's a huge accomplishment. We're also in the middle, as they stated, of developing our spring and summer exhibits and programming, which you'll hear even more in depth at a future council meeting. But this is a big year for strategic planning as well. So for the museum, we'll be doing our 2-year strategic plan, where we're looking at the mission and focus of the museum. We really hope to increase our programming, our events, community engagement, and collaboration with other community organizations. And the staff, all of us, would just like to thank the town council, town manager Yakimo, our community services manager Ernest. We've seen so many of your faces in the museum, attending our events, at the reception, or just coming in to see the new exhibits. And so we just wanted to thank you guys. We feel very supported right now. So thank you.
That's very nice. All right.
I also, Mayor and Council, want to point out that we are continuing to recruit. We have another position to fill, the museum assistant position. We're going to be entering into interviews, but we had just an amazing response. We had over 40 applicants, and many of them are very, very well qualified, much like the staff that we
Unbelievably
recently
qualified.
hired.
I left that out. Yeah, we did have an overwhelming response to the museum assistant position. It's currently still in the hiring stages. Extremely well-qualified applicants, so we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah.
It's so nice to hear that we can attract such qualified applicants and have got such qualified employees. It's always rewarding to see that. All right. Is there any public comment on that? Is there anybody online? No?
Celeste, when you talk about the quality of the program for such a small museum, it's just amazing, again, like the credentials that we have as far as staffing in our little town. Is there an accreditation process that museums go through? Would we be qualified to get further certified with the quality of people we have working here, or is our limitation on displays going to keep us from doing that?
No, actually, the museum has been in the process of getting an AAM certification for museums. Right now, only about 4% of museums across the whole United States are accredited under that program. It's something that's been implemented, or trying to be implemented over the last probably about 6 or 7 years. It's a long process. It uses a lot of peer review. So it's something that we'll hope to continue in the future as we go forward.
If we're able to obtain that, would that open us up for opportunities for funding, grants, and so forth? Because if you're talking about high level of accreditation, only 4% of all museums have it, I would think that there was any kind of funding or any kind of things that we can do to expand our museum, we might be in the running for such monies.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks good, of course, when you're going for a grant and you have that accreditation behind you, as well as, if we, as we look to build our sponsors and donors for the museum, we're currently rebuilding our sponsorship program. That's another thing that attracts those donors is, having that accreditation behind you.
Okay. I'm not trying to crush you with extra work, but I'm
No,
just
it's okay.
curious on that. It is a very, very, very tough process and very time consuming, but I was just curious about it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. I was there with my grandkids right before Christmas, and they had the most wonderful time. They got to hold, I forgot her name, but the hissing cockroach.
Princess Nova, yeah.
Yes,
She's a
I got to hold
Madagascar
her.
hissing cockroach, yeah.
So it was really thrilling for them, and they were really interested. So anyway,
Good.
it was a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. All righty then. Let's go to the townwide beautification program.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Oh, do we need to file in, I'm sorry, do we need to make we don't make a motion to file. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. The project before you tonight is the street name sign replacement project update. So the recommendation before you tonight that the town council receive and file an update on the townwide beautification program, street name sign replacement program. And as you all know, this program have started back in 2022, and finally it came to fruition. We have received the first 100 sign of 1,200 sign that we're going to be replacing throughout the town. And the town staff have begun the process of installation of these signs. As you can see, they're all proud. I know they're happy that they start that project. So that is right now is the first 100 sign that we received. We are about to receive the second 100 sign at the end of next week. So that is, we'll go ahead and start installation when we get them. The signs that we have on the highway. So what we did is we have an inventory. We came up to a 25 sign that is missing or need to be replaced on the highway. We are working right now on the engineering of these signs. We selected a vendor to provide the signs to us. The vendor is now just putting it into perspective, into drawings, so we can approve. And then at that point, we are expecting these to be these drawings to us for approval by the end of next week. After that, the manufacture and the start processing of these signs will take about a month. So after that has been received, we will be transporting these signs to Caltrans, since Caltrans are the entity that will install these signs on the highway. And at that point of time, we will find when these signs will be replaced, and then we will inform the council of when they will start doing so. The completion of this project, we're talking not only on the signs on the highway, but the complete replacement of the 1,200 signs we have through the town will be anticipated to be done by next year, January of 2025. We are expecting 100 sign, give or take a month, but hopefully there is no emergencies of like storm cleanup or something that staff have to be tied up to do. But we are anticipating 100 sign a month to be installed within the town, and we got to go through the whole zones of the town. Not only just one zone, it's the whole, everything that as you see, all the old county signs will be replaced, all the missing sign will be replaced. And please, since you are in the community and you can see if there is anything that's missing, just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to replace it. That is the conclude staff report. I can answer any questions following public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment on the new signs going in? Anybody online? No? I just want to say it's really important for safety to have good readable signs. Are we making any changes to the size of the lettering from what was in the past?
The town have a standard for the street name signs that is we are following.
Okay.
So all the letters are, all the signs are of reflective material, if reflect with light. So it will be, you can, easily read it.
And this is going to upgrade and make uniform all the signage throughout the town.
That's correct.
Which is good, because we've had a hodgepodge of things for a long time. So appreciate the effort. It's good. Any comment?
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. I've been a champion of this for quite a few years, and I'm glad that we're to the position now where we can make improvements, which I would state falls right under public safety for navigating our community, making sure that resources can get where they need to go, and we don't have a lot of traffic that's wandering in the town. So I love the look. I love the enthusiasm of getting the project done. I had one thought, though, is we have these 1,200 signs, and maybe more as we find missing pieces. Is there a way to possibly repurpose this, sell some of these for people that may want to have a sign of their old street they've lived on? And, is there a way to, because 1,200 can create, I think, quite a pile. So for someone like me that's been here for many years, it would be kind of interesting to have in my garage the streets that I've lived on over the years. But just something to think about, that we make sure that if that is going to end up being just disposed of, possibly we could have adopt a sign and help people understand the history of the town. So thank you.
Wonderful idea.
We'll look into it, yes.
Let's look into that. That's great.
I still wish I had some of the old 4x4 poles, the wood poles. Remember those? But thank you. It really improves the town. And I'm surprised, though. So the town purchases the signs and Caltrans installs them?
That's correct.
But they don't have to, on the highway, but they do not have to purchase them?
No. And years back, the town have decided to go away from the green-looking signs to the blue to match the signage we have in town. So when we did that, we proposed to Caltrans, since it's not their standards, the deal was you buy the signs, provide us all the hardware to install it, and they will be installing it, since it's a liability for anybody to do it, so they will install it for us.
Thank you.
Alex, how long do these signs, what are the life expectancies of them?
Signs like this, with the weather element, basically, or, somebody steal them. Most of these signs get stolen and end up in somebody's garage, but, it's like, it's between 7 to 10 years, I'm going to say.
I'm sorry, how long?
7 to 10 years. And the reason why is the material that we choose for these signs is a very durable material that lasts for a long time. It's the same thing that is, if you notice, when we do some striping on the streets, there is what we call thermoplastic, which lasts longer than paint. Paint faded, like in 4 or 5 years, but thermoplastic can last 15 years before it's faded and can be replaced. So that's why we choose these kind of materials for this, and that's what took a long time, so we can get this material
Find the right material.
perfected, so we don't have that issue with these signs fading in 2 or 3 years from now.
Well, thank you. Yeah, when council member said, Dennison said this was a long time coming or whatever, I looked back and I go, yeah, we started the process with Mayor Schooler. We got the bid and approval with Mayor Dennison. We got the first signs up with Mayor Lombardo, and the last sign will go up with Mayor Drodes. So 4 mayors, and we get all the signs. But I know it's a slow process in government, but that's 4 mayors, and we're going to have signs by then.
Hopefully, the signs will last longer than we do, right?
Yeah. So that's why I was wondering how soon we need to start this over again. But anyway, thank you so much. I saw some of the new signs. They're very visible and so forth. And then it just seemed like also when we started putting them up, some of the old ones, like the old county ones that are on streets that I pass all the time, are like completely just green now. They're not, you can't even read what it was. And like they just dropped off just immediately. I guess maybe they faded away when they saw the new signs coming and they just gave up, I guess. But it's really nice to see the new ones. And I love the idea. I don't know who made that decision that on Caltrans, our signs would be the same kind of blue and all that kind of stuff, because we are the town of Yucca Valley. You're coming in, it's a fresh look. And this is just the beginning of our downtown beautification process. And I think the community is going to be really excited to see us really get a nice facelift all through downtown. I know 29 Palms has done a really good job of revitalizing. We see our new streets with the sidewalks by the schools, and I'm ready for the next phase to be planned and so forth. But it really is a nice fresh look, and I appreciate all the work.
Awesome. I think some of those faded signs might be a real hit for the sales. If you can get some of the reflective paint and paint your own, you could you could put your own names and make your own streets that wouldn't, put them on the garage. It doesn't matter if it's a real street or not. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Thank you very much. It's always good to hear we're moving forward on things like that. Taking a long time. Number 17, Essig Park Improvement Project, Town Project 8519. We have a notice of completion.
Yes, this is normally a consent agenda item, but we wanted this to be a staff report just to highlight the important and the improvement that was done for this, for the Essig Park and for the dog park in particular. So the improvement that was done on that park so far was we removed the grass completely and all the irrigation system. We replaced it with a new efficient irrigation system at the dog park right now. We installed the shade structures. We removed all the DG walkways that was a problem for our staff. Now with concrete, which is make it easier for them to maintain, even though right now we are in a schedule to clean that every couple of weeks from the feces and stuff for the dogs that leave, but it's still a very important upgrade that we did. Provide seating, we provide electrical lighting for the park, and the most important thing that is we expanded the small dog park by approximately 2,600 square foot. So I just would like to only highlighted that project. This project was brought to you by Measure Y funds. Without Measure Y, this project wouldn't be happening. It's really important that we highlight that so people know that is the measure, that is whatever taxes they pay, it's already in effect, and it's already, in improvement that is for town and town facilities. Also, we noticed that there is some mud, that is from the last storm. There was some mud that entered into a small dog park because of the construction, and we did. So what we're looking for right now, we're looking into measure, and we're looking into ways to prevent that from happening. We start working on that. We installed the straw wattle that is, if you are into the park, you saw it, so it will prevent the mud. It will allow only for the water to go into the park, but it will prevent the mud from going into the park. So we'll be monitoring this from time to time to see if there is any other improvements that we need to do to it to prevent it completely. We will do it. Just like right now, we tried this. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll continue with that.
Very good.
Just we would like to highlight that for you, just to let you know.
Great. We
That's
live and we
conclude my
learn. Yeah. The elements are always a challenge.
Yes.
Mayor, if I may,
Yeah.
I want to say thank you, Alex, for coming up with a plan to mitigate the mud spill that we've had on the back end. We had a speaker last meeting that was, concerned, but ultimately understood that it is a new park. Things are going to happen. We're going to work through it. But the response from the crews, and then coming up with a plan to mitigate that, and now looking to the future, I really appreciate it. It shows a town that we're working hard every day trying to make that park what the community wants.
Yep. Really excellent. Okay, so.
So if you would like, I can read the recommendation and.
Yeah,
that
just
is-
accept
yes.
the,
Yes, so the recommendation at this point of time that the town council accepts the project as substantially complete, authorize staff to file the notice of completion, authorizes the reduction of the faithful performance bond to 10%, directs staff to retain the labor and material bond for 6 months for project number 8519-2 and 23.
all right, are we in agreement on that?
Mayor, I'll make the motion to move the item forward.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? No.
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All righty. Final item for the final draft strategic plan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Your last item this evening is final approval of the 2024 through 2026 strategic plan. You'll remember that this process started back in the spring. Actually, it's an iterative process that the council uses for many years. We do this in a 2-year cycle for your strategic plan that generally aligns with your budget cycle and drives those budget conversations. So building upon the prior 2022 through 24 adopted strategic plan, the town council provided direction to staff to work on priorities and programs in the priorities that were established through that plan. In the spring of this year, we did the community livability survey. That was completed, a statistically valid survey on a number of different issues, concerns, priorities from the public to get their input. We had great responses through that. Dr. McClarney was here in September and gave you that update, went through the priorities as seen through the lens of your community. The council then had an opportunity to provide your own input and your own thoughts and priorities on projects, programs, individually. And then lastly, in November, you collectively came through and ranked and prioritized those priorities. So all of that now is captured in your strategic plan for 2024 through 26. It's in your agenda packet. Interestingly, I think as the budget process moves forward, this will drive that budget process so that it should be relatively straightforward and transparent for not only the council but for the community as well, that budget development really is in support of and establishes the funding mechanisms for all of your priorities as you've identified in your strategic plan. That concludes staff comments on your strategic plan unless there's specific questions, which we'd be happy to answer after public comment.
Okay. Is there anybody in the public that would like to comment? No? Anybody online? No? Quiet night? Okay. Do we have a, we need to approve the final? So I need a first motion and a second.
I'll move the item forward.
And I'll second.
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All righty. We're on to future agenda items. Is there any future agenda items? No? We're good. Okay. It's now the time for public comment. The town council takes this time to consider your comments on items of concern which are not on the agenda. When you are called to speak, please state your name and community of residence. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Inappropriate behavior which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting will result in the forfeiture of your public comment privilege. The Town Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not on the printed agenda. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak at this time? Public comment on some item not on the agenda? Anybody? This is your chance for a free-for-all. No? Okay. Nobody online, so we'll close that out. Is there, we're back on now to staff reports and comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Captain, welcome. Happy New Year. Anything for the town council or community today?
No, nothing to report today, sir.
Terrific. Thank you. Alex, Sue, anything?
Just want to mention, if you made a New Year's resolution and you're looking for some physical activity, go ahead and sign up for our Healthy Hearts Run. We also have that really great high-low fitness class. We have 3 different dance classes, stretch and tone, and then in addition to that, we're adding some additional senior exercise classes to the senior center, which is great. They're really enjoying those health and wellness classes. Basketball is underway. Of course, we're using all the gyms in town practically. Lockentana Middle School, Living Hope, and Boys and Girls Club, and also some games at CMC as well, so that's pretty fun for the kids. We have over 300 kids, 30 teams. It's definitely really good enrollment with youth basketball. And last but not least, our softball registration opens on January 22nd.
Thank you, Sue. Shane, you have anything?
Mayor and Council, 3 items tonight. At their meeting of January 9th, the Planning Commission set the annual cap for vacation rental permits within the town. That number increased by a total of 8 from 2023, so the new cap is set at 782 units. Snapshot in time on our last report, and these numbers change on a daily basis. Some permits expire daily. There are some renewals that are filed daily. Some new applications come in daily. So this is just one snapshot at time. We currently, at the last snapshot, had 667 valid permits operating and 115 available permits. Item number 2, as the council will recall, Fish and Wildlife had indicated when the Joshua Tree regulations came into effect, they would be sending out agreements for local agencies to take on the permitting for the take, or the transplanting, removal, or destruction of a western Joshua tree. According to we have not received any agreement. We've not received any recent communication on the Fish and Wildlife webpage. It indicates they're working on it. It's going to be coming out to the agencies soon, but nothing has come out yet, and we do not have a timeline. Third item is there has been some town as well as community-wide discussion about a hotel application on Yucca Mesa Road. We want to communicate that there is no application on file with the town today. Folks should watch the town's webpage, because once an application is filed, all of that information is uploaded to the Planning Division project webpage, all their plans, their applications, all their backup materials, all of those types of things. When an application like that is filed in a residential zone, it's very time intensive. It requires a general plan amendment. It requires a rezone. It requires a specific plan, and very likely requires a project environmental impact report. You're talking in the neighborhood of somewhere between 1 and 2 years before there's even a hearing before the Yucca Valley Planning Commission. So those things take time. They don't happen overnight. Once an application is filed, people will know about it. All that information will be available. The community will be asked to participate, as we do with all land use decisions. But again, nothing is on file at this time, and we don't know when an application either will be, or if it will be filed, or if yes, when will it be filed. We don't know till it walks in the door. They submit the application and the application fees. Those are my items this evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Appreciate that. Tom, you have anything today?
No.
All right. Just a couple items for you, Mayor and Council. Just a reminder, King of the Hammers is launching this week. It opens up on Thursday, and that will run through February 3rd. Mayor, you identified it this evening, but I did want to take just a minute to highlight that collectively at a staff level, as we've had transitions both internally and newly created positions, and we had to recruit for those positions. It's amazing to see some of the quality candidates that we have here in the basin. Yeah, it's terrific. It historically was very, very difficult, particularly for more specialized positions, to get qualified individuals up in the basin, but that seems to be turning a little bit. And with the demographic shift, it looks like right now the applicants that we're getting are top-notch, and so we're super excited about that. I had an opportunity to pop into the Planning Commission and Parks, Recreation, Cultural Commission and just give them an update on things that you as a council have directed staff to work on and provide them an update. So I said, well, if I did it to those two, I better make sure that the council knows what I told them. So I'll just buzz through this really quick. But I did extend gratitude on behalf of the council to the commissions and the work that they do. Many of the policy issues that come back before you have been vetted extensively by those commissions, and the work that they do is much appreciated. 2024 is going to be, in some ways, a crazy year. We have an election year. It's a presidential election. Turn on your nightly news and you know some of the chaos that may be coming our way. We're going to start in March with a March election, and that will be your county supervisor for the 3rd District will be on that ballot, as well as Measure W, and that is the potential repeal of FP5. So you may have seen some of those signs up already. We know that county staff has asked to be here at your next council meeting. They will be here, and they will give you an update on what that means, should it pass or should it not pass. And then in the fall, we have the whole handful of different elections, but of note, 47th Assembly District, Assemblymember Wallace will be up for election. Our town council elections will affect District 2 and District 4, so that'll be of interest to the public. Likely, depending on the process that the Revenue Measure Oversight Commission and ultimately the Town Council uses, we may have Measure Y and Measure Z on for reauthorization in 2024 as well. And then finally, a whole number of local elections for the different public agencies here in the basin. Policy issues that we identified for the commissions are things that you've provided guidance on, special events, which you talked about this evening, the short-term vacation annual review as it's coming up, commercial events in some of our commercial areas, or I guess I should say special events in our commercial districts. Western Joshua Tree, as Shane identified, we have food and other temporary vendors, dirt road policies, all of those policy direction that you gave staff to work on. For projects, our number one priority remains the Yucca Valley Aquatics and Rec Center. We may have some terrific news at your next council meeting related to funding on that issue. We have Old Town parking that was on your agenda this evening going out to bid, so we're making some progress on that. Supervisor Rouse provided additional funding for your senior center lobby remodel as well as pickleball courts. Wow. Town service consolidation continuing to move forward, and then annual street and road maintenance, as you also had on your agenda this evening. So in short, we continue to, I guess I would characterize it as steadily moving forward. That's what we want to do in 2024. Keep the pedal to the metal as we have a lot of these things moving forward, manage the election process the best that we can, support this community as it elects its leaders, and anything that we can do to continue to be of assistance to the council. We're always open for those directions. So that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Extremely. All right. Council member reports and comments. Let's start down at this end with Council Member Schooler.
Thank you. First of all, I don't know where this came from. This is Joshua Tree jerky that appeared up here at the dais, and so thank you to whoever dropped this off for us. Never seen it before, but it's going to be well used.
Councilmember Schooler, I'll identify it as Walter Mackley. He's in the back there. Very gracious of him. To let you know, for those of you that have been here for a while, his father was Jerry of Jerry's Lounge, and anyone that's been here for a while will remember that wonderful restaurant. So thanks, Walter.
the main reason I wanted to come down here for a local business that was coming out here, and I wanted to show support that I thought we needed the food truck industry up here. I think it's something that we're missing, and that's an old local business that could be the flagship food truck for our industry, and she's got a lot of money invested in it, and I hate to see her held out. Just, it seems like that we could adopt maybe the county regulations until we got regulations adopted for the city. And I know it's a lot more entailed than that, but those are just options, maybe.
Okay,
But I think it's an
I'll
industry
consider that
that's
as
been-
part of the public comments item, because it wasn't on our agenda, so we can't really comment.
Okay.
Thank
Very
you.
good. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you, Walter, for the jerky. Also, thank you to the MUSD school board members that are joining us this evening. Good to see you. The museum opening, or the opening of the exhibit, I think it was Friday night. What a great event, and very well attended. Staff was doing a great job over there. And the exhibit is great. The artist gave a great presentation, and it was really nice to see so many new faces, people that weren't regulars at the museum in the past. We've been blessed with some exceptional leaders at the museum over the years, but now with the transition with Celeste and the new staff, I can see some new direction, maintaining the nature museum aspect, but also embracing the arts and some more exciting new stuff coming down the pike. So really good to see that, and welcome to Zach and Charlie as new staff members. So also on the dog park, we brought that up this evening. I'll go back to Councilmember Abel's comments at the last meeting. I've been around the state quite a bit too, and I've seen a lot of dog parks, and really I would put ours up against any of them that I've seen. It's bigger, better, cleaner, nicer. It's a really first-class dog park, so good job on that. And also just want to thank Curtis for making this strategic planning process so organized and simple. I can remember in years past it's been a little bit hectic, but somehow we just cycle through it, and step by step we get there, and we're all pretty satisfied with it. So thank you for that. And that's it for me, Mayor.
All righty, thank you. Councilmember Abel.
Thank you. I do not have a lot to report because of the holidays. A lot of the meetings I attend have been canceled or postponed to the new year, but we'll be hitting it heavy with other meetings coming up. I wanted to just thank again the school board members that were here as well. The school district's done a really wonderful job. It was very challenging after the pandemic for staff, for support staff, for teachers, for students and parents. It was really, really a tough time, and they weathered the ship, and they're making some great progress moving forward. I've heard a lot of good things coming out of the schools here lately. Morale is up. Student attendance is looking pretty good. And again, for all those people who serve in our community on school boards, on college boards, the private schools as well, I want to thank you for your service to the community. We know a lot of times you just hear the negatives and you don't hear all the positives, and I have often said when they have the 3 minutes to speak, it seems like an eternity when they're yelling at you, and it seems too short when they're singing your praises. So again, thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Look forward to getting to know you all so much better through the years, and hopefully we'll see you at other events. I know a lot of times our meetings are at the same time. We can't attend each other's meetings as much, but thank you for your service, and thank you for being here tonight.
Okay. Councilmember Dennison, you ready?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, they've echoed a lot of the things, or already said a lot of the things that I would echo on that, but I will give a shout out to the school district. You know, I've lived here for quite a few years. My kids grew up here. They went through the public school system, Yucca Valley Elementary, and then to La Contenta, then Yucca Valley High, and really had a wonderful experience there. I have a hard time sometimes talking to others because my kids never even went to the office for anything. They were never in trouble because there were so many activities that they were able to get involved with. the one thing that there's a shortage now, and I'm sure you're well aware of it, which is a music program. So we love that. It was one of the things that they did, but there's so many other activities, whether it's, wrestling or basketball or art or, those are very important things. So I appreciate the school district and the work. I have nothing but great things and accolades for the instructors that the school, has there. So, and that's at all grades. Even the community college, my kids attended there also. So we have a full cycle until someone wants to move on to a 4-year. This is a wonderful place to be. The museum staff and their enthusiasm, I just want to say amazing. It's wonderful to see a younger, fresh breath in there, and the enthusiasm of that group and what they're trying to accomplish and the lofty goals that they're setting is wonderful. That's going to make it even a better experience for the children. My kids went there a lot too. And thank you for coming today to talk to us on our public hearing in the comments from Tumbleweed. That's in my district, District 5. It's been a lot of work. As many of you know, staff put many hours in. The Planning Commission put a lot of homework in. And these are the things that that we listen to the public and we try and make it happen so everybody can benefit from, the opportunities out there to enjoy events. So thank you for sticking with us through this. It's been kind of a long journey, but we always seem to get there, as you've seen probably through our strategic planning presentation. That's what that's all about. We have it on the radar and we work on it in the background until we finally have a resolve. So hopefully we can move forward on that and people can get back to enjoying gatherings and public events. That's all I have.
All right, well, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Droz?
Yes, I think I'll be a little shorter than Councilmember Abel's short comment. But anyway, I want to thank, I have very short comments right now, but I just want to say thank you to all the staff of Yucca Valley. I mean, it's pretty incredible. But I really want to give a shout out because the town is ahead of the curve. And sometimes they're blindsided by something we didn't think of, but generally we're ahead of the curve. And we really have the town manager and the deputy town manager to thank for that. So thank you, Curtis and Shane. And everybody have a great 2 weeks.
All right, well, it's been a good meeting, and I'm glad to have you all participate. I just want to say thank you to both the school district and the college board, which was not able to attend. I'll see her tonight. My wife's on the board. Let's see what else. I want to sing the praises of the museum and the museum staff, incredibly well qualified. I'm excited to see what things happen in the future. It's always been a bright spot in our community. Thanks for the public participation in tonight's meeting and at the Coffee with the Mayor, which will be occurring now on a regular basis on the third Tuesday of every month. And at current, it is in the Mesquite Room, which is in the adjacent building.
But we may have changes. We'll talk to the mayor about that.
Oh boy, I like changes. All right, we got to be adaptable. That's the life we have to live. So let's see, what else? We're going to have a flood of new people in town with the King of the Hammers. Please welcome them, make them feel at home, be safe, be careful. There'll be a lot of extra traffic on the roads. We have good help with that. We appreciate our sheriff's department and our first responders and all that they do. We have lots of activities going on. We thank you, Sue, for your steadfast work and determination to make this always an improving thing. There's always something different, and it's nice to see new activities going on. Coming out of COVID, we're hungry and anxious for new things to do, and that's great. Also comment on the budget cycle. It has been a breath of fresh air. Thank you, staff and town manager, Yakima. The idea of a budget that occurs every 2 years gives us a chance to plan further ahead and makes things smoother in the short term. And the cycle that you have us operating on allows us to get things done on a regular basis instead of all at once and in an emergency and falling behind. And so it's really critical to running a smooth operation, and it's so evident that you're doing a great job. All of the staff are. And we just feel very blessed to have staff that really pours their heart out for the betterment of the community, and everybody should be proud and happy with who we have employed here. I guess that's about it. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. The upcoming meeting will be, the next regular meeting will be at the Yucca Valley Town Council. Will be held on Tuesday, February 6th, 2024, here at 6 p.m. Hope to see you there. All right, we're adjourned.
A mayor without a